"Ah, you crazy punks."
None of us thought it was going to go this long. We were all ready for it to, everybody was okay with it stopping at any point. Not okay, but we kind of figured that was going to happen.
We've been in illegal space for 7 years. We've, 1,000 shows, 7 years, and we've all done it, under the radar.
I mean, this space alone is, show that a group of people can kind of come together and organize the space and keep it running for, a long period of time, which is very unknown of in the DIY space community because, houses, pop up and go down all the time.
A lot of times I think people have doubts about the art space because we are dirty, we are sober, and we have different shows that sometimes 2 people show up, sometimes 30, sometimes 50, 60, 70, but it's so volatile, but that doesn't mean that we aren't supported, and that doesn't mean that we're imbalanced, and doesn't mean that we can't survive.
We have a relationship with the neighborhood and even the cops, but they know we're here, but they also know that we're not gonna let kids drink here, and we're just here to have shows and be an art space, and that's it. It's now no parties, and so by doing that we can last 7 years in a tiny basement without any hassle and have 1,000 shows.
Mike Riley asked me in the summer of 2002 if I had some extra money that I could donate to help cover the down payment or the security deposit for the space. So I gave some money then and have been involved in some of the construction that we did here and have been loosely involved over the last 7 years.
As a member, I book shows occasionally. I partake in the decision-making process when we have space meetings and decisions that need to be made, and just continue to support the growth and development of the Charm City Art Space.
But anybody that wants to come involved and be in part of the meetings is able to. There's no walls or borders to being involved. Anybody can do it.
First time I ever came to the art space, I was probably about 16. I used to play in some bad pop punk bands and go nowhere hardcore bands, and just kind of, at a young age I didn't know much about it, and it helped kind of introduce me to a lot of things, and it's been a positive influence in my life.
I think I found a really big sense of community, something that I didn't find anywhere else. I guess I always felt really on the outside of things growing up, and I found people that I could relate to, saw things kind of the way that I maybe saw things, similar interests, and just a really good group of friends. And of course, music is what always got me through things, and we all love that. So just being able to put things on ourselves and do what we want to do when we don't like everything else that's going on around us, has meant a lot to me.
I've met some of my best friends in Baltimore because of this space, because it brings so many different types of people together, especially to be involved in a space that is really diverse, both in music and career or non-career, and in terms of the alternative lifestyle that you choose or identify with. It made me feel really good to be a part of something and to be able to talk about new things and learn about new ideas and communicate and dialogue with other people was something that was really important when I first got involved in the space. So it's definitely something that I'm really, really happy to be a part of.
Through finding this place, I definitely have met a lot more people surrounded, by DIY culture and stuff like that. And it's definitely broadened my DIY horizons, I guess you could say.
Being a part of the DIY scene has also, taught me and introduced me to things like, veganism and straight edge and anarchism and feminism and all these perspectives that I've adapted and changed my worldview and things like that. And so if it weren't for the art space really, and then DIY on top of it, I don't think I'd have the same worldview as I do today. A misconception of DIY is that it's individualistic, in which it's not, and it's a community-based thing, and it's not a one-person thing. And so that is what I feel like a lot of people, when you first hear do it yourself, you're like, oh, I have to do this by myself.
I think some of the most common misconceptions are this, that it's, you know, that it's nothing but drunk punk kids and it's dirty people and it's like the riffraffs that don't have any parents or the down and out kids or whatever.
But yeah, I think definitely organization and longevity is something that this space is definitely disproven. It's something that, you know, people don't really think of when it comes to DIY and stuff like that.
It's really well run. Everyone's really responsible. Everyone is held accountable for their actions.
Punks always has a bad rap as people who are troublemakers or people that are really trying to do wrong, and for the most part that's not the case at all, especially in the DIY community where it's trying to support things, trying to make people feel welcome and inclusive, and that's something that I think is really defining of Charm City Art Space, because we have so many different types of people who are in school, out of school, teachers, parents, wives, husbands, you know, whatever, and all trying to do something, even if it's different, even if you don't get along with particular types of music, like at least you still support a space, and it's more about the mission and the vision of a space or of a community.
I feel like anyone who comes in here that isn't really familiar with the community might have a little bit of culture shock, you know, because this is extreme, but I feel like talking to anyone, any of the long-term art space members, any of the collective people, they'll, it's pretty clear that it's, you know, it's just genuine people, just kind of, it's a subculture, and you know, it's just like any other subculture, you know, it's just kind of a refuge, and I think it disproves a lot of the, if you talk to anyone who's deep into it and really cares about it, a lot of those things just kind of, you know, be like, wow, I never knew that, that it was actually like that, you know what I mean?
So it's just cool just like to be able to be like, I want to be a part of a music community, but I don't necessarily want to go to like a club or something like that, and like a place, like an alternative place like the Art Space, like presents that like kind of like out of the box experience for like punk bands and hardcore bands and noise bands and indie bands, like all to come together and just like, you know, experience that outside of like mainstream culture.
I don't hope for a better life on some land where with the gardens dance. Not a day goes by, I don't dream of a loving wife and a future where the children still be born.
I mean, I've been to a lot of really good shows here. The thing I like about the Art Space is that, you know, so many of these bands wouldn't ever play these big venues with bars and other stuff. And I feel like I've had a really lot of good experiences with like, you know, just going to shows where everyone's positive, no one's fighting, you know, no one's getting drunk or getting high and just fucking shit up, and it's positive.
A better terminology for our community would be do it ourselves, because it's people coming together and doing it together.
In your hands, that you can do what you want with it, that like especially music and art aren't something that only like the upper echelon can create, and that you need a lot of money to do it or you need a lot of talent to do it, that you can just try and do your best and do it yourself. And I think that's what this community and this space breeds and helps.
You know, the more people we can get into this type of, you know, atmosphere, the more people we can, you know, address with these, you know, really positive messages, you know, the better it'll be for everyone, younger people and older people, you know.
Because we have so much potential and we have so many things to offer, but we haven't yet reached that point where we are a network, and I would like to see that happen.
Charm City Art Space, greatest place in the world.